Hey everybody, this is TJR. The motion picture Star Wars The Last Jedi has been met with a lot of very divisive criticism. I have found the criticisms to be quite interesting, both good and bad. The reason being is that a lot of the negative criticisms that I have been listening to and reading have not all necessarily been coming from just entitled fanboys who feel that it wasn't done the way I thought it should be done. Instead, I'm hearing a lot of very negative criticism from critics and reviewers whose opinions I respect. Even if I don't always agree with them, I still respect what they have to say because they have well-reasoned arguments behind their opinions. And what's interesting this time is not only am I hearing well-reasoned arguments that are negative towards the film, I'm hearing well-reasoned arguments that are positive towards the film as well. As I've listened to and read these various criticisms, it's made me think, it's made me wonder if I should reconsider what I initially thought. I do feel like I need to see the film a second time. I haven't had a chance to. I've only seen it once so far. I do plan on seeing it a second time before it leaves theaters, and I've often thought that perhaps, maybe, I will discuss the various aspects of both the positive and negative criticism I've heard in a future video. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I'm not really sure yet. But I wanted to use this video to discuss just one criticism that I have been hearing quite a bit of. In fact, this criticism comes from the first movie, or not the first movie, but the previous film, first movie in the Disney series, I guess I should say, The Force Awakens. And this criticism is, how does Rey know how to use the Force so well with no training? How is it that she understands how to use the Jedi mind trick in the last movie where she's under restraint and she tells the First Order stormtrooper to release her? How is it she's able to, kick Kylo Ren's butt, who's had training, when she's had no training with the lightsaber? How? To me, the answer always seemed kind of obvious. There is that previous scene where Kylo Ren is basically, kind of doing the Star Wars equivalent of the Vulcan mind meld. He's reaching into her head because he wants information. What happens, though, is Rey, of course, obviously is strong in the Force, obviously very Force sensitive, starts to realize she can reach back, and she does. And you know the scene where she says, "You're afraid. You're afraid you're not going to be as good as Darth Vader." Whatever being as good as Darth Vader means. But at any rate, though, she starts to reach into his head and suddenly he becomes afraid. What I always figured happened, even though it's not explicitly stated, is that it's kind of like Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, where they, basically implant knowledge into his head, like how to use Kung Fu, when he goes, "Whoa, I know Kung Fu." That's the best Keanu Reeves you're going to get out of me. I kind of thought it was like that, even though it wasn't a deliberate thing. When she crossed minds with him, when she reached into his head, I kind of felt like she probably got this subliminal, boom, concentrated crash course lesson in the Force, how to use it. Even though she didn't realize it at first, it just was kind of like, boom, put into her subconscious. And that's why when she first encounters the stormtrooper, and she says, remove these restraints, she's not even, you watch the performance, she's not even sure why she's even saying it. And the stormtrooper at first says, "I'll tighten them." He ignores her at first, and then she does it again. And then suddenly it works, and the stormtrooper says, "I'm going to, release the restraints. I'll leave you my gun," and all that other stuff. I kind of feel like I said, she got this crash course subliminal lesson. And that's how she knew how to use the lightsaber so well in the battle that occurred in the rest of that first movie. Now, of course, I realize it was never explicitly stated. And I think maybe in this most recent film, The Last Jedi, it probably could have been. Maybe when Luke was training her or talking with her, she could have shared that experience that she had, or maybe Luke himself could have done the Star Wars version of the Vulcan mind meld and reached into her head and realized what had happened and then maybe explained it to her. And that's why she just seems to know so much so intuitively. Of course, I also think there should have been just more time spent with Luke training her in the film as well. So that's my explanation to this one criticism, although I already feel that it should have been elaborated more on in the next film, the most recent film that we have right now, The Last Jedi. What do you think? And by the way, if you're going to leave comments saying, well, how do you explain this? And how do you explain that? And how do you explain why this is over here and that's over there? I'm probably not going to answer that in comments. I might do it in a later video. But I think what I'm really interested in is just examining the criticisms that this film has had, both negative and positive, that are both, in my opinion, pretty well reasoned. But I do think I need to see the film at least one more time, if not more, before I do make that video, if I make that video. We'll see what happens. That's all for now. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. As always, please subscribe if you haven't done so. And if you do subscribe, be sure, let's say that again, we're a professional show. Be sure to hit notifications so that you can know when I make new videos. Bye, everybody. Take care.